to an episode of the Butterfly Throne podcast, episode 10 with your girl Star. Today's topic is a little bit about anything and everything, to be honest. It's not specifically just wrestling. Um, it's about movies, TV shows, animes, uh, DC comics, and Marvel comics. And I have like bullet points, 3 bullet points for each. Um, the first one I really want to get into, honestly, and note this might not be a long episode, but thank you for listening. Um, the first topic is um, discussion one is: do you think wrestling is a dying brand? Honestly, yes and no. It depends on what company you're talking about. If it's related into WWE, I feel like yes, that wrestling is not the forefront of WWE in general. I feel like it's more of acting, putting on the best performance. In certain ways, more like acting, if that makes sense. Um, I mean, you have Michael Cole who literally said that they're more of an entertainment than they are professional wrestling, which I feel like I can see that, but it's nowadays it's leaning more to entertainment, which is from a wrestling fan perspective for me. I grew up not only having the entertainment perspective, but also most of the wrestling. And I enjoy the wrestling. And so I feel like with WWE, when it comes to entertainment, I feel like they focus on too much in the entertainment part, not of the wrestling part, which is not only hurting them, but it's also hurting them when they have too many ads. It's like you have way too many commercials doing PLEs, doing Raw and SmackDown, and it's like you'll come back and then it's like a few seconds of a match, maybe less than a minute, then you go back on a commercial. And then it's kind of like most of the matches is happening during commercial. And I feel like that if you take away all the commercials, is SmackDown is wouldn't even be 3 hours. It'd probably be like an hour, maybe 30 minutes, maybe two to the max. But let's be honest. And I feel like it's crazy because back in the day, Raw will literally have like 5 or 6 matches on a Raw, especially if it's 2 hours. And then it's kind of like now it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes of Raw that we have, where there are literally like 4 matches and everything else is segments and commercials. And it's like, yeah, it's to the point where it's become more predictable. To the point where it's like, should I even continue to keep watching this? Because it's like they get more predictable to the point where you know what's gonna happen before it happens. And I feel like WWE focus on more nostalgia than they do actually wrestling, and then pushing those who they say is the next upcoming big superstar and stuff. But then you fumble those ones who you trying to push out there. You know what I mean? And it's like it's okay. Nostalgia is okay to the degree. Nostalgia is okay when you're not expecting it. You know what I mean? It's like you hit us with a surprise, and it's like, oh shit, such and such came back. Cool. I like that. Give me that. I don't want to wear it's based on my TV every fucking week or every day. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like when I say every once in a while or not as often, I mean like we could go months. You could bring back. Let's use Moxley to an example. Moxley been in AEW. If he ever to come back to WWE, which we know he probably would never not, Of course, they can tease the Shield reunion, but I don't feel like it should be right away. Meaning, like, they're too big of a superstars now at this point. Now they've been disbanded since 2020, 2019. And I feel like putting them in, not only it would clash with the personality, but it would kind of hurt them in certain ways. So it's like putting them in a group together for nostalgia is will hurt them more. However, I would say that's teasing about like how they currently tease, Seth and Roman occasionally backstage. Like tease them backstage, you know what I mean? Where you bring up the past or whatever here and there. But still. And then at some point where they're facing each other for a title or whatever the case might be, you could bring back their history, not only as a group, but the history of betrayal when it came to Seth Rollins. And how Roman and Moxley could bond over being, out of our brotherhood, I never betrayed you type of thing. Stuff like that. And it's kind of like they could have did that opportunity with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes as well. But then you have to suck in fucking Jelly Roll and uh, Pat McAfee. And you didn't need that. When they had clearly history, you could have had Randy hashtag or show shit like, remember I kicked your father in the head, etc. etc. Remember I was the reason you left this company. It was your career versus, I guess, the title. I'm not sure, but it was in 2016 or 17, one of them. But still, you had a good. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but you had a good history between them and legacies that you could have played off of it. You know what I mean? And you chose not to do that by bringing in Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee for Star Power. It's like, why? You don't have faith in your veterans nor the people who you trying to elevate up to that level. It's crazy. That's just me personally, but I digress. So, and I guess in a sense of wrestling outside of WWE, no, it's not a dying brand. Within WWE, maybe. I feel like it's hurting them more to not showcase wrestling, and it's kind of crazy because how you supposed to be more of an entertainment company when your main roster is occasionally, well, roster crew are more injured than the ones who are active, and it's kind of like it's crazy. I digress. That's just me. Um, the next one. Do you think there's racism in wrestling? Of course. Of course, especially in what is isn't every aspect of wrestling. There are stories where our truth talk about JR and how JR told him that this is a white man's sport. You have other situations where the Hulk Hogan and stuff. And I feel like we as fans, especially those who are troublous, who lean more towards what WWE is more of my nostalgia moment. Meaning, like, I grew up with WWE. I refuse to see the bullshit, even though it's in my face. You know what I mean? Especially when Triple H said that only thing that Booker T, the people like Booker T are willing to do is to entertain. Not to be chubby, nothing more, nothing less. That's a slap in the face. And especially, and it's kind of like a lot of people, when Hulk Hogan said half the shit he said out his mouth, I feel like it not only hurt him as a brand, but it hurt him professionally because a lot of people not want to think, especially if you're black and brown, will not want to think that your favorite wrestler is a racist, especially towards people that look like you. And so when he says the shit about his daughter dating somebody who's black, and then he says other shit like in other scenarios where he goes on Trump campaign and stuff like that, I feel like that hurt his image. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us I know for me, for example, if I have a favorite wrestler or a favorite singer or whatever, and you say some racist ass shit, you gonna make me look at you different. And I feel like that's a lot of problem with us as fans. We hold a lot of wrestlers up to a higher standard. We put them on a pedestal in a box that if they say one thing that would destroy your whole confidence in them. And I feel like that is the problem. That at the end of the day, wrestlers are human as well. They have their own views, politics, and everything else. That we should not hold them to a standard that we cannot hold ourselves. And so that way, if they do shit, they won't be surprised. It's like it's not surprising. I mean, like, yeah, that hurts that you said that. But at the end of the day, am I really surprised? Because I don't know shit about you personally. So you know what I mean? It's like you don't know the person personally, where you can say whether you can say they are or aren't a racist. So it's kind of like my thing is if that's who you are, then don't hide it behind a character. And then when you get caught on hot mic saying shit or posting shit, you the type of person where that's not who I am, that's not my character. Y'all know me. No, the fuck we don't. You say what the fuck you really felt. You just expect the outcome that it came with that shit. And then you want to apologize and kiss ass. And in some cases, it's like, nah, this is who you are. Express that shit. Because at least it tells me not to fuck with your ass ever again. That's all. That's it. And it's like, you not only it tarnish a reputation of yours, but those who looked up to you as a kid. You been a favorite wrestler. It's kind of like, damn. But then you got motherfuckers out here that would continue to support him. And I'm like, oh, that's not what he meant. Da 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 da. The in-house ninjas. The in-house ninja that make excuses. I mean, the motherfucker. Are you still going to support him? I mean, if you do, that's on you. I'm not judging you, but I am judging you at the same time. Just saying. Next one is: do you think that the IWC is toxic towards women? Of course. And especially speaking as a woman herself, it is definitely more toxic. Especially when you're dealing with men who feel like they know more about wrestling than the females. And their first thing is to do is to quiz a female of how much she know. Who was in WrestleMania 13? Who main evented? Who did The Rock face it? What I mean? It's the bullshit. And it's kind of like, it's who your favorite wrestler or how long have you been watching wrestling? You know what I mean? And it's kind of like the fact that I have to go into details in order to express that is a slap in a disrespect to my face. Because you 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 don't hear another man question another man of how much wrestling do he know. You know what I mean? And I feel like when it comes to like sports and cartoons and shit like that, men tend to gatekeep shit. Where it's like either they feel like you're a woman, you shouldn't be in this conversation or talking about it. Because I literally had a person on a live that I did a while back, who literally questioned me about wrestling. And mind you, he was like 24, 25 years old. So he only went back to like 2007, maybe 2010 of wrestling. Just to see how much I know. Mind you, I've been watching it since the late 90s. My dad put me on wrestling. Now, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to sit there and watch wrestling 24/7 because my life do not be consumed by wrestling like that. I'm not going to turn around and watch Monday Night Raw, NXT, and then turn around and watch AEW, TNA, New Japan. No, that's too much. You know what I mean? I have a life outside of that. And so it's like, yeah, it's okay to watch it on your downtime to catch up on. Because I watch both WWE and AEW. I used to watch TNA. I don't watch it as often like no more, barely to never. So I don't comment on something that I'm not watching because it's like it's not fair for me to do it, and it's not fair for others for me to have my opinion about some shit that I know nothing of. You know what I mean? That's just like me when they came to AEW. I refuse to talk about it because I never watched it to give my opinion. And if I gave my opinion, it'd be based off what I heard from others, and not actually sitting there and watch it. So I refuse to make any comments about it. Now, only time I ever comment is when it came to WWE because I was watching it more than I watching AEW. Now that I got into the AEW spectrum, where it's like for me, I'm still learning the people names and stuff like that. So it's like I'm still semi new to it, but it's like I'm aware of it. I will watch it. I would cheer on the characters and stuff. Like I am a huge fan of the unalive writers, or AKA the Death Riders. I am also a fan of the collaboration, especially for Orange Cassidy. I think Jack Perry is cute. Just saying, don't at me in that one. Cal Fletcher, can't stand Don Callis. I'm just saying, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm into it. I'm watching it. Do I know every person on that comes on the TV? No, but that's what I have other friends for. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Um, Next topic that I have in mind is: do you think there is gatekeeping when it comes to anime? Yes, yes, I do. Especially when it comes to cultures where, okay, if I'm a black person cosplaying as a character, you will have some Asians, but it be mostly the white ones. They'll be like, well, such and such is white or such and such is Asian, and you can't play this character. Says a fictional character. Like, how the fuck I can't play a fictional character? It's fiction. They're not real. It's not based on a person. And it's kind of like if I, as a black person, don't have a right to play an animated character, then you, as a white person, shouldn't either. Especially if not saying the characters are Japanese or Chinese. I digress. So mind the business that minds you. But yeah, I then it's also gatekeeping when it comes to, you know, girl guys not expecting girls to know so much about anime. Like the Megan Thee Stallion, like um there's a girl on YouTube who, not YouTube but TikTok, who talks about Dragon Ball Z. And it's kind of like a lot of guys don't, I guess they not familiar with the girls who talks about anime, especially whether it don't matter if you're attractive or not. But it's kind of like they're not expecting you to talk about anime because they don't know too many females that watch anime. And I feel like maybe you don't know too many females around you personally that on a day-to-day basis that watch anime. But there are a lot of females, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and whatever, that loves anime, that watch the series, that plays video games based off the movies or the series. So yeah, and I feel like I'm one of those. I'm one of those females who watch anime. Do I need to get more into it? Yes. But I love anime. Now, I'm the type of person that I want the English dub. I'm not going to sit there and reading subtitles and then trying to watch the action at the same time. Give me the English dub version so I can sit there, watch it, and enjoy it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Um, Next one is: do you think racism when it comes to Marvel and DC characters? Of course. I mean, that was what's the name for Fast and the Furious? Um, Rodriguez something. I forgot her name is. Fuck. But she played Dominic character, uh, baby mama girlfriend, whatever. In the Fast and the Furious, Michelle Rodriguez. Thank you, Michelle Rodriguez. She's like How come you go ahead and create your own characters? Why you gotta still white characters and shit like that? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know if that was her personally saying it or that they took her words out of context and they made a video about it. If she did say that, shut the fuck up. Because there's a such thing, and they was gonna have a Hispanic Wonder Woman, and it's crazy, and it's like there are a lot of black characters, and so my thing when it comes to Marvel in DC, that if you look at the Marvel, especially X-Men, and it's loosely based. And Stanley himself even said it that it's loosely based off Martin Luther King and Malcolm X during the civil rights unit, the civil rights movement. The mutants represents black people. The leaders of each side are black people. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Charles Xavier and Magneto. So yeah, and so my thing is, it's kind of like there is racism, especially when if they turn a character, like let's say Superman. There are two different versions of Superman. You have Kal-El, which is not Kal-El, Kal-El, which is Clark Kent. Everybody knows that one. But then you have Mon-El, who's from a different Earth. That is a version of Superman. Same thing when it comes to Wonder Woman, Batwoman. You have Cat Kane and you have Ryan and what's her name? That's Batwoman. So I feel like when you're a person who showcase or you cosplay as a DC character or a Marvel character or whatever, especially if it's fictional and live action, like you have to look at Starfire. Starfire is orange, but they'll make a Caucasian person who be upset because a black person plays it. Why? Why? Because if she's orange, she's not white nor she's not black. She's a character. You know what I mean? So you can try to say like only characters we can play is like the Wicked Witch, Piccolo, and those who fucking green or whatever. So fuck out of here. And then there was a current video I saw, and it was like how there cannot be like it's hard to have they take black people as vampires because of the ashy color instead of being pale. But I was like, what fucking movie are you watching for you didn't say that? So we just gonna disregard Blade? Those vampires and werewolves, especially the vampires that was in the Underworld movie. You talking about fucking what's the dude from Twilight? The fuck. He's with James and Victoria Laurent. Y'all thinking about Laurent because they made him look ashy and shit. But you have characters like Blade, who's a half vampire, half human. That was not pale. You have a vampire in Brooklyn. That was not pale. You have Aaliyah from Queen of the Dam, who was not fucking pale like that. And it's kind of like, if you didn't make that statement, it's crazy. That means you need to get out more. Or put aside your racial bias. You shut the fuck up and watch. Because you just got through seeing a fucking biggest movie last year of fucking Sinners. I digress. But it is what it is. The last one on this one, it says, what is your 3 favorite movies of all times? If I have to think about from childhood up to now, my number 1 is The Crow. I don't know what it is, but it's like I'm into the whole gothic movies like that. And it's like I would say that one because I watched that movie by like over 1,000 times. And it never gets old. I've seen sequels to it, reboots to it, and it's kind of like I still enjoy those sort of movies. Now, my only biggest issue with that is that I get at some point down the line that was gonna do a reboot to that at some point, and no shade to Bill Skarsgård, but I feel like they should, instead of just making that a reboot, they should have did an add on to it of the franchise. Because the last one we saw was the Crow Wicked Prayers. Why not add on to the franchise? You know what I mean? Could have kept the whole dark ethic towards it, made it more modern of this time with a different character name and his spouse. Bam. That's all. That's just me and my opinion. Um, Second movie, I feel like this movie don't get a lot of praise to it. I say Spawn. And I feel like if it was made in this time, it came out way better. But at the time when it came out in the 90s, it worked with the technology and the shit that it had. So I would say that. So I feel like if we're gonna do a reboot or a remake of that, I know they're gonna have Jimmy Fox for it, but I would love for Michael John White to do that as well. I don't care if you got two spawns, but still, bring me that. And then the last one, I was at the Blade movies because no, it's a it's a tie. I take it back. It's a tie. It's between the Blade movies and the Underworld movies. Again, I'm into that stuff. Weird, but it is what it is. And then I have other movies too, but I think those are three that popped in my mind. And The Crow is definitely on top of that. What I say, it's like the whole Superman, Batman. Like I would did that too, but if we talk about movie in general, then yeah, not movie in a specific brand. So, but thank you for listening to me ramble about movies, TV shows, or movies, animes, wrestling, and shit like that. Um, if you like what I'm doing here, please continue to like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? Continue to listen to me ramp about this. And then hopefully, I get people on here to have this discussion with me instead of doing a solo. You know what I mean? But until then, for now, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So thank you for listening. And episode 11 will be coming soon. Don't know when, but soon. So then, thank you.